In the mystical realm of Eloria, where the very air pulsed with the essence of ancient enchantments, Seraphine, a young elven mage, stood at the cusp of her maiden quest. Eloria, a land woven from the dreams of nature and the whispers of the old gods, was a canvas where the veil of enchantment cast its iridescent glow, enshrouding the land in a tapestry of magic, both wondrous and fearsome. Here, in this realm of untamed beauty, the ancient legacy of the elves was a symphony that resonated with the rhythm of the world, a melody that Seraphine was only just beginning to comprehend. Her heritage, a secret veiled by the enchantments of her people, granted her a connection to the arcane that was as natural as the ebb and flow of the tides. The magic that coursed through her veins was a whisper of the ancient forests, a remnant of a time when elves and nature danced in unison under the moonlit sky. Seraphine, with her cascade of hair the color of autumn's richest tapestry, moved with a grace that seemed to transcend the mortal realm. Her eyes, deep pools of sapphire, shimmered with a luminescence that spoke of starlit nights and the ethereal glow of the moon. Clad in a cloak gifted to her by her mother, Seraphine was a chameleon against the world. The fabric, imbued with the magic of their lineage, shifted in hues and shades, mirroring the ever-changing canvas of the world around her. It was a garment that whispered of ancient secrets and concealed the truth of her elven blood, a truth that, if revealed, could alter the path she walked. As she made her way through the cobblestone streets of Evermere, Eloria's bustling capital, each step was laden with the gravity of her concealed identity. The city was a kaleidoscope of life and color, where merchants hawked their wares with boisterous calls and minstrels strummed melodies that spoke of far-off lands and daring adventures. The scent of fresh bread from the bakeries melded with the aroma of blooming flowers from the market stalls, creating an olfactory tapestry as rich as the city itself. The Adventurers Guild, a venerable institution that had stood for centuries, was her destination. Its walls, lined with the shields and banners of heroes past, echoed with the tales of valor and conquest. It was a place where legends were born and where Seraphine, with the weight of her hidden heritage and the untested power of her magic, sought to carve her own name into the annals of history. Approaching the guild's grand doors, which bore carvings of mythical creatures and battles of yore, Seraphine felt the thrum of excitement mingled with apprehension. Here, at the threshold of destiny, she paused, drawing a deep breath. The air was redolent with the scent of polished wood and the faint trace of magic. With a heart buoyed by the promise of the unknown, she pushed open the doors, stepping into a new chapter of her life, where her journey as a mage and the discovery of her true self would truly begin. The Adventurers Guild of Evermere was a hive of activity, buzzing with the vibrant energy of those who lived for the thrill of the quest. The air was thick with the scents of oiled leather, spiced mead, and the smoky aroma of the hearth. The din of conversation, the clash of sword against shield in friendly sparring, and the occasional burst of arcane energy from a mage's spell, all melded into a symphony of adventurous spirit that filled the grand hall. Seraphine, her senses alight with the excitement and chaos of the guild, felt her heart dance a rhythm of apprehension and anticipation. She moved with the grace of the forest breeze, her slightly pointed ears well concealed under the waterfall of her autumn-hued hair. The mission board, an ancient piece of wood that held the fates and fortunes of many, beckoned her with promises of the unknown. Her fingers, slender and deft, traced the edges of parchments that fluttered like captured birds, each inscribed with tales of perilous journeys and rewards for the brave. As she perused the quests, a grizzled dwarf with a beard that spoke of countless battles and a life spent in pursuit of glory observed her with a keen eye. Brom Stoneheart, a legend in his own right within the guild, was known as much for his battle prowess as for his ability to appraise a warrior's mettle. "You look green, lass. You sure you're ready for this?" Brom's voice was a gravelly chuckle, his eyes twinkling with a mix of skepticism and mirth under his bushy brows. Seraphine turned to face him, her posture straightening not in defense, but with the confidence of one who knows their own worth. "I am more than ready," she replied, her voice carrying the melody of determination, a tune that had been nurtured in the quiet groves of her homeland. Her words, though calm, were underpinned with the steel of resolve, a testament to the strength that lay beneath her delicate appearance. Brahm's smirk widened into a grin, revealing a row of well-worn teeth. "Well, let's hope you can match that confidence with skill," he said, his tone now laced with a newfound respect. "The path of adventure is no stroll through the meadows." Seraphine nodded, accepting the unspoken challenge in Brahm's words. Her gaze returned to the mission board, now seeing the quests not as mere words on parchment, but as doorways to a future she was eager to embrace. Around her, the guild continued its boisterous dance of life. Warriors clinked tankards and toasts to fallen comrades. Mages debated the finer points of arcane theory, and rogues swapped tales of daring escapades. The very walls of the guild seemed to pulse with the collective heartbeat of 1,000 adventures. Each beat a story, each story a legacy. In this crucible of valor and ambition, Seraphine felt a sense of belonging. She knew that her journey would not be an easy one, that her secret heritage and untested powers would be both her shield and her challenge. But in the heart of the Adventurers Guild, under the watchful eyes of Brahm Stoneheart, and surrounded by the spirit of adventure, she felt ready to step into the tapestry of legend and weave her own tale of magic, courage, and discovery. Brahm, with the ease of one who had spent a lifetime in the company of adventurers, gestured towards the group that would become Seraphine's companions. "This here is Marcus," he said, nodding towards a man whose stature could rival the ancient oaks of Eloria. Marcus, the human paladin, carried the aura of a seasoned warrior, his armor a polished testament to countless battles. His eyes, sharp and steel-colored, scanned Seraphine with a mix of curiosity and respect. The greatsword strapped to his back was not just a weapon, but a symbol of his unyielding commitment to justice. Next to Marcus stood Lila, a halfling whose size belied her presence. She was a rogue, her demeanor laced with a playful cunning that was as evident as the daggers she carried at her belt. Her eyes, bright and inquisitive, sparkled with the promise of mischief and adventure. Lila's laughter, quick and infectious, filled the air as she offered Seraphine a grin. "Welcome to the troop," she chirped, her voice carrying the melody of a life lived on the edge. Completing the group was Kale, a human bard whose appearance was as enigmatic as the songs he played. His lute, adorned with intricate carvings, was a constant companion, its strings whispering tales of heartache and triumph. Kale's gaze was thoughtful, his eyes holding the depth of one who had seen the many facets of the world. He greeted Seraphine with a respectful nod, his voice a rich timbre that hinted at the stories he had yet to tell. Together they were tasked with a quest that spoke of danger and wonder in equal measure. To retrieve the heart of the forest, a legendary gemstone said to be the crystallized essence of Eloria's magic. The gem was rumored to reside deep within the emerald depths, a part of the Whispering Woods that few had ventured into and even fewer had returned from. For Seraphine, the mission was more than just an adventure. It was a test of her abilities and a chance to explore the depth of her magical heritage. Though excitement fluttered in her chest like a caged bird, there was also a thread of fear, a worry that her untested powers might falter when most needed. As they prepared to set out, the air in the guild seemed to thrum with anticipation. Marcus checked his gear, ensuring every strap and buckle was secured, his movements methodical and precise. Lila darted around, her energy a stark contrast to Marcus's stoic preparation, as she playfully brandished her daggers in mock combat. Kale tuned his lute, the notes floating in the air and weaving a spell of courage and camaraderie. Seraphine took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the cloak around her shoulders and the hidden lineage it protected. She stepped forward, her staff in hand, a symbol of her commitment to this journey and her allies. The doors of the guild opened to the world beyond, a world that beckoned with the call of the unknown. Together, the party stepped into the morning light, their shadows merging on the cobbled streets of Evermere, the first steps of their journey taken in unison. Ahead lay the emerald depths, its secrets shrouded in mystery and magic, and for Seraphine, a chance to discover the true extent of her powers, and the strength of the bonds they would forge. As the first light of dawn painted the sky in hues of rose and gold, the party embarked on their journey. The cobbled streets of Evermere gradually faded into winding dirt paths that meandered through the verdant landscapes of Aloria. The air was fresh and crisp, filled with the scent of wildflowers and the distant sound of a babbling brook. Seraphine, walking alongside her companions, felt a deep sense of peace in this natural setting. Each tree and stone seemed to whisper ancient secrets, resonating with the elven magic in her blood. The rolling hills stretched far and wide, dotted with clusters of wildflowers that swayed gently in the breeze. The lush forests stood tall and proud, their canopies a vibrant tapestry of green. Birds sang their morning songs, creating a melody that accompanied the travelers on their path. Seraphine couldn't help but feel a sense of belonging, her heart beating in harmony with the rhythm of the land. As evening approached, they found a clearing perfect for their camp. The sky, now a canvas of deep blues and purples, was beginning to be sprinkled with stars. The group gathered around a crackling fire, its warm glow a comforting presence in the heart of the wilderness. Under the watchful eye of the night sky, Seraphine quietly moved to the edge of the clearing. Here, she felt the urge to connect with her magic, to feel the flow of energy that coursed through her veins. With a gentle focus, she extended her hands, and soft tendrils of light began to dance at her fingertips. The elements around her responded to her silent call, the air shimmering with a subtle power. Her practice was a delicate ballet of motion and magic, a harmonious blend of skill and instinct. She conjured gentle breezes and whispered to the spirits of the earth, each spell a brushstroke on the canvas of the night. The joy of embracing her power was exhilarating, a feeling of being truly alive. Yet in the back of her mind, Seraphine heard the echoing warning of her family. Remain hidden, remain safe. This mantra, ingrained since childhood, held her back, a constant reminder of the danger that her heritage could bring. She knew the importance of her family's caution, yet part of her yearned to explore the depths of her abilities, to push the boundaries of what she could achieve. Lost in her practice, she didn't notice Marcus watching from the edge of the firelight. His expression was one of quiet wonder, mixed with a hint of concern. He understood the need for secrecy in a world that wasn't always kind to those who were different. Returning to the campfire, Seraphine joined her companions, her heart a mix of joy and unease. The night passed with tales and laughter, the bond between them growing with each shared story and jest. As she lay down to sleep, the stars overhead twinkling like distant lighthouses, Seraphine felt a sense of belonging, not just to the land, but to this small band of adventurers who were slowly becoming like a second family. In the quiet of the night, with the gentle crackling of the fire lulling her to sleep, she dreamt of a world where she could freely embrace her heritage, a world where the magic in her blood was a cause for celebration, not fear. And for a brief moment in the realm of dreams, she was free. Their journey took a challenging turn as they approached the Scorched Pass, a rugged valley notorious for its volatile geothermal activity. The terrain was a stark contrast to the lush beauty they had left behind, replaced now by rugged, ash-strewn landscapes and the acrid scent of sulfur hanging heavily in the air. The ground underfoot was warm, a reminder of the fiery heart that beat beneath the earth's crust. The path through the pass was treacherous, with steam vents hissing like serpents and geysers erupting without warning, spewing scalding water and flame into the air. The sky above was a murky tapestry of smoke and ash, casting a pall over the landscape. As they navigated this inhospitable terrain, a sudden geyser eruption caught them off guard. A tower of flame and boiling water shot towards them, a fiery specter unleashed from the bowels of the earth. Seraphine, acting on instinct and the bond she shared with the elements, raised her hands. A shimmering shield of magical energy sprang forth, encasing the group in a protective bubble. The fire licked hungrily at the barrier, but could not penetrate it, cascading harmlessly off to the sides. Her companions, huddled within the safety of her spell, looked at her with a mixture of surprise and admiration. Marcus, his expression one of awe, broke the silence. "I didn't know you had such power," he said, his voice imbued with a newfound respect for the young mage. Seraphine, her heart racing from the adrenaline of the moment, felt a flush of pride at her successful protection of the group, yet alongside it was a twinge of fear as she realized how close she had come to revealing the true extent of her elven lineage. "There is much you do not know about me," she replied, her voice a gentle murmur, betraying the turmoil of emotions within her. Lila, her eyes wide and bright, chimed in with a playful yet sincere tone. "Well, whatever secrets you're keeping, I'm just glad you're on our side." Kale, who had watched the scene with a thoughtful gaze, strummed a soft, appreciative note on his lute. "Every great tale has its mysteries," he mused, his words offering comfort and an understanding that not all stories were ready to be told. As they continued through the scorched pass, their pace cautious but steady, the party found themselves relying more and more on Seraphine's magical abilities. Her control over the elements seemed to grow stronger, more assured, as they faced the challenges of the pass. Each successful use of her power brought a sense of fulfillment, but also a reminder of the delicate balance she had to maintain between revealing her abilities and keeping her true nature concealed. By the time they emerged from the other side of the scorched pass, the bond between them had deepened, forged in the fire and trials of their journey. Seraphine, surrounded by these companions who had shown her nothing but acceptance and camaraderie, felt a glimmer of hope that one day she might fully unveil her heritage without fear. But for now, she kept her secret close, a hidden jewel in the tapestry of their shared adventure. As the party delved further into the heart of the Whispering Woods, an enchanting aura enveloped them. The trees stood tall and ancient, their leaves whispering secrets of ages past. The air was thick with the scent of moss and wildflowers, and beams of sunlight pierced through the canopy, creating patterns of light and shadow that danced upon the forest floor. Seraphine, walking with an air of reverence, felt her elven senses awaken fully in this mystical environment. The subtle rustling of the leaves and the gentle murmur of the brook seemed to speak directly to her soul. The spirits of her ancestors, long intertwined with the essence of these woods, recognized her presence. They spoke to her on the breeze, their voices a blend of melancholy and wisdom, offering words of warning and guidance. The whispers encouraged her to embrace her powers, to trust in the strength that flowed in her veins, and to use her abilities to shield her companions from the deceptive magic that lay hidden within the woods. Lila, the halfling rogue, moved with a lightness that only someone of her stature and agility could achieve. She darted between the trees, her laughter a bright chime that contrasted with the forest's serene solemnity. "What magic this place holds," she exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with excitement and wonder. Her curiosity was boundless, each tree and stone a new mystery to unravel, each shadow a place to explore. Kale, the human bard, strummed his lute softly, the melody harmonizing with the natural symphony around them. His music seemed to draw the hidden magic of the woods, blending it with the sound of his instrument. "And what secrets," he mused, his eyes thoughtful as they rested on Seraphine. There was a depth to his gaze, a recognition of the unspoken bond they shared with the mystical realm surrounding them. His songs were not just tunes to pass the time, they were an homage to the ancient stories etched into the very bark of the trees. Marcus, the human paladin, walked with a respectful awe of the woods, his hand resting on the hilt of his greatsword, a silent vow to protect his companions from any harm. The forest brought out a contemplative side in him, his usually stern demeanor softened by the tranquility of their surroundings. He watched over the group, a guardian against the unseen dangers that lurked beneath the beauty of the landscape. The Whispering Woods were a living entity, a place where the boundary between the physical and the ethereal was blurred. As they ventured deeper, the party found themselves attuned to the subtle magic that permeated the air. Seraphine, with the guidance of her ancestors' spirits, began to feel more confident in her abilities. She started to understand that her powers were not just a part of her heritage, but a gift to be used for the greater good, a means to protect and to enlighten. As night began to fall, and they set up camp under the ancient boughs, the group felt a sense of unity and peace. The Whispering Woods, with its secrets and ancient magic, had accepted them, and under its watchful gaze, they shared stories, laughter, and the warmth of friendship. For Seraphine, this journey was not just an adventure, it was a journey of self-discovery and acceptance, a path that led not only through the woods, but into the depths of her own heart and soul. In the heart of the Whispering Woods, nestled in a grove where ancient trees arched towards the heavens like cathedral spires, the party discovered the heart of the forest. It was a gemstone of unparalleled beauty, cradled in a nest of intertwining branches and leaves, glowing with an inner light that seemed to pulse with the very heartbeat of the earth. The air around it vibrated with a raw, primal energy, a testament to the untamed magic of Eloria. Seraphine, drawn to the gem by a force that resonated with the deepest parts of her soul, approached with a reverence born of her elven lineage. The heart of the forest called to her, its song a melody that spoke of ancient forests, moonlit dances, and the whispered secrets of the earth. As she extended her hand, her own magic, a gift passed down through generations of Eldkin, reached out to meet the gem's aura. In that moment of connection, Seraphine's true form was revealed. The veil that had cloaked her heritage lifted, and she shimmered with an ethereal light, her skin aglow like moonlight on water, her hair a cascade of silver and gold. She was a vision of the ancient world, a reminder of a time when elves and nature were one. The party, witnessing this transformation, could only watch in awe. Marcus, the human paladin, took a step forward, his steel-gray eyes wide with wonder. "You are one of the Eldkin," he said, his voice a mix of shock and admiration. "Yes," Seraphine replied softly, her voice echoing with the magic that enveloped her. "But I am still Seraphine." Her words were a gentle reminder that beneath the mystical appearance, she was still their friend, the same mage who had journeyed with them, laughed and fought by their side. Lila, the halfling rogue, let out a low whistle, her eyes wide with amazement. "Well, that's one secret worth keeping," she exclaimed, her initial surprise giving way to her usual playful demeanor. Kale, the bard, was momentarily speechless, his lute forgotten in his hands. He finally found his voice, a soft murmur filled with respect. "In all my songs and stories, I never imagined I would witness such a wonder." The heart of the forest, now resonating with Seraphine's touch, began to emit a soft, harmonious glow, its light enveloping the grove in a peaceful luminescence. The gemstone, recognizing the kinship of the elf, released its energy, a wave of magic that washed over them all, a blessing from the very heart of Eloria. In that sacred grove, the party shared a moment of unity and understanding, a bond strengthened by the revelation of Seraphine's true self. They were no longer just a group of adventurers, they were companions tied by a profound experience, witnesses to a magic as old as the world itself. As they prepared to leave the grove, with the heart of the forest safely in their possession, Seraphine felt a sense of completeness. She had revealed her true nature and had been accepted with open arms. Her journey had been one of discovery, not only of the magic around her, but also of the magic within herself. With the heart of the forest secure, the party set out back through the Whispering Woods, their steps lighter, their spirits brighter. They walked together, united by their quest, and the shared knowledge that in their midst walked a descendant of the ancient Eldkin, a guardian of the old magic, a friend who was both extraordinary and endearingly human. As the revelation of Seraphine's true nature lingered in the air, a profound sense of camaraderie enveloped the group. The glow from the heart of the forest bathed them in a light that seemed to transcend mere physical illumination, casting a luminescent sheen over the scene that felt almost otherworldly. It was as if the forest itself acknowledged the significance of this moment, the unveiling of a truth long concealed. Marcus, his stature as a paladin making him a figure of inherent authority and respect, extended his hand to Seraphine in a gesture that spoke volumes. His words, "Your blood changes nothing," resonated with an unwavering acceptance that echoed the principles he lived by. It was a declaration that in their quest, lineage mattered far less than the bonds of loyalty and the collective spirit of their undertaking. Lila, ever the embodiment of halfling vivacity, approached with her characteristic lightness, both of foot and of heart. Her words to Seraphine, playful yet earnest, cut through the gravity of the moment like a ray of sunshine piercing through a canopy of leaves. Her acceptance was not just tolerance, it was an affirmation of Seraphine's place in their midst, a recognition of her worth beyond her heritage. Cale's response, though less boisterous, was no less meaningful. The bard, a weaver of stories and songs, recognized the profundity of Seraphine's journey and the depth of character it revealed. His lute, an extension of his own expression, played a chord that seemed to capture the essence of the revelation, a harmonious blend of surprise, understanding, and the beginning of a new chapter in their shared narrative. Seraphine, standing at the heart of the circle of newfound kinship, felt a weight lift from her shoulders, a weight she had not fully realized she had been carrying. The fear of rejection, the burden of her secret, was now replaced by an overwhelming sense of belonging. Her admission had not brought division. Instead, it had woven her more tightly into the fabric of the group. "Thank you," she murmured, her voice a gentle echo amidst the sounds of the forest. Her gratitude was not just for their acceptance, but for the newfound freedom to be her true self. The heart of the forest, pulsating with the ancient magic of her people, seemed to thrum in approval, its glow a benediction upon this band of adventurers. As they prepared to leave the grove, each member of the party carried with them a renewed sense of purpose. The revelation of Seraphine's heritage had not only deepened their understanding of her, but had also strengthened the bonds between them all. They were no longer just a group of individuals brought together by chance. They were a united front, diverse in their backgrounds but singular in their goal. The journey back through the whispering woods was marked by a lightness of spirit and a sense of unity. Their laughter mingled with the rustling of the leaves, and their footsteps were confident and sure. They had faced the unknown, had embraced truth, and in doing so, had discovered a greater strength within themselves and each other. And so they continued their quest, not as mere companions, but as a fellowship bound by trust, respect, and an unshakable bond that the trials of the road ahead would only serve to strengthen. The path before them was still fraught with challenges and perils unknown, but together there was no storm they could not weather, no darkness they could not illuminate with the light of their combined spirit. The tranquil air of the grove was abruptly shattered as an ominous darkness, like a malignant tide, began to seep into their sanctuary. This was no mere absence of light, it was a palpable presence, a manifestation of ancient malevolence that seemed to drain the very warmth from the air. The shadows, twisting and writhing like living things, reached out with cold, insidious fingers towards the heart of the forest, their intention clear and sinister. The party, though taken aback by the sudden intrusion, rallied quickly, a testament to their newfound unity and strength. Marcus, his great sword a shining beacon in the encroaching gloom, stepped forward with a warrior's resolve. Each swing of his blade was a defiant strike against the creeping dark, his movements a dance of power and precision that cleaved through the shadows. Lila, with the agility and speed that her halfling heritage afforded her, darted in and out of the fray. Her daggers, quick and deadly, sliced through the tendrils of darkness with an accuracy that belied her playful nature. She moved like a wisp of wind, her attacks a blur of motion that left trails of dissipating shadow in their wake. Cale, the bard, found in this dire moment the true purpose of his art. His fingers flew over the strings of his lute, weaving a melody that rose above the ominous whispers of the dark. The music swelled into a powerful hymn, a song of courage and hope that bolstered the spirits of his companions, forming a shield against the encroaching fear. And then there was Seraphine, who now stood revealed in her full elven majesty. The shackles of secrecy that had once bound her powers were now shattered, and she embraced her true nature with a fierce determination. Her hands glowed with a radiant light, and as she chanted in the ancient tongue of her people, beams of luminous energy surged forth. The magic of her lineage, a legacy of starlit skies and deep forest whispers, became a brilliant force that pushed back against the darkness. The light that Seraphine conjured was more than a mere spell. It was an expression of her very being, a symphony of ancient magic and newfound purpose. Wherever her light touched, the shadows recoiled, hissing like cornered beasts. The elven magic sang a counter-melody to the discordant tune of the void, a harmony of nature and starlight against the unnatural abyss. As the battle raged, the party moved as one, a seamless unit forged in the heat of combat. Their individual strengths combined to form a formidable force, and slowly, the darkness began to wane, its presence diminishing under their relentless assault. Finally, with a crescendo of light and sound, the last of the shadows evaporated, leaving the grove bathed once more in the peaceful glow of the heart of the forest. The gem, undimmed by the encounter, pulsed softly, as if in gratitude for their defense. Breathing heavily, the party looked around at the grove, now serene once again. Their bond, already strong, had been cemented further in the face of this dark threat. They knew that this would not be the last challenge they would face together. But there was a comfort in knowing that whatever darkness lay ahead, they would meet it with united hearts and a shared resolve. In the aftermath of the battle, as they gathered once more under the protective boughs of the grove, there was a sense of accomplishment, a feeling of having passed through fire and emerged stronger. They were more than just companions on a quest. They were a family, bound by magic, steel, song, and a shared destiny that would lead them to further adventures and greater triumphs. As the final echoes of the conflict faded away, the grove of the Whispering Woods seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. The first light of dawn, gentle and reassuring, bathed the clearing in a soft glow, turning dewdrops into sparkling jewels that adorned the grass and leaves. The heart of the forest, now liberated from the taint of darkness, pulsed with a renewed vigor, its light a beacon of the enduring strength and resilience of nature. The party, their faces weary but their spirits invigorated by triumph, shared a moment of quiet reflection. They had journeyed together through perils unforeseen, each challenge forging them closer, tempering their resolve. In the heart of the grove, they found not just the heart of the forest, but also the heart of their own courage and unity. Seraphine, once a solitary figure uncertain of her place in the world, now stood with the poise of a true guardian. Her elven heritage, once a source of secrecy and solitude, had become her strength, a unique bond with the magic that flowed through Eloria. The dawn's light illuminated her features, casting her in an ethereal glow that mirrored the inner light she had embraced. Her journey had transformed her, not only in power, but in spirit. She had found her purpose in her people. The veil of enchantment, which had shrouded her lineage, now served as a bridge connecting her to the world and to her companions. It was no longer a curtain to hide behind, but a gateway to a future filled with possibilities. As they prepared to leave the sanctuary of the grove, each member of the party carried with them the lessons of the forest. Marcus, his resolve strengthened by their victory, sheathed his greatsword with a sense of fulfillment. Lila, her eyes still alight with the thrill of adventure, packed her belongings with an eager anticipation for the next challenge. Kale, his lute now a chronicle of their journey, hummed a new tune, one of companionship and hope. Together they stepped out of the Whispering Woods and onto the open road. The horizon stretched before them, a canvas awaiting the brushstrokes of their ongoing saga. The adventures that awaited them were as unknown as the winding paths of Eloria, but one thing was certain: they would face them together. Their journey had begun as a quest for an artifact, but it had become so much more. They had discovered the power of unity, the strength found in diversity, and the unbreakable bonds of chosen family. In each other, they had found a home. The world of Eloria, with its mysteries and wonders, called to them, and they answered as one. For Seraphine and her companions, the end of this adventure was just the beginning of many more. As they walked into the rising sun, their hearts were light, filled with the joy of shared adventures and the unspoken promise of many dawns to come. Their story, woven from magic, bravery, and friendship, would be told and retold. A tale of heroes who had ventured into the unknown and found something far greater than treasure. They had found each other.